I am Anthony Jones, returning citizen, core member of Chance for Life, former spokesperson of Crime Stoppers of Michigan. Currently, I am a chaplain with St. Mary's Mercy of Livonia, better known as Trinity Health, and host of the Chance for Life podcast.
I'm Andrea Isom, journalist, former TV news reporter, host, and national correspondent. I'm a friend and supporter of Chance for Life and have proudly been telling its story for more than 15 years, along with my husband and business partner, Joe Harris. And I am the co-host and producer of the Chance for Life podcast.
When did you say, okay, we need to be here? First walked in and I came in contact with the inmates. Mm-hmm. I was always, they were a lot better. It was the officers, it was the staff that made you know you needed to be there. And it's their attitude about the people that they are supposed to be overseeing. Mm-hmm. And we know they're in a prison, but, you still have to have some type of humanity about you to work with people, no matter who they are. So I just found that they were just not, it almost seemed as if they were taught to not treat them like human.
What about you, Mr. Adams?
Well, with me, it started before I even went into the prison. I mean, I knew I needed to be there. I knew that we need to bring people back from the system and bring them back in the right way so that they could survive, take care of their families and so forth. Probably the only issue I had was being naive as to why people go to prison and what the motivations were and what it would take to bring them out and to keep them out and to keep the recidivism, low. When you really get a strong emphasis is when you talk to people inside the prison. I'm talking about the inmates.
Yeah.
And the inmates just start to tell you their story, some of the things they have to do to exist from day to day, some of the situations that exist in there with them that become normal, because if you can call it normal, but it becomes that way just to be able to survive on a day-to-day basis. And so you have to affect change. I guess the way that I looked at it differently, I've always looked at it as changing the individual to deal within the system versus trying to change the system around the individual. And that's how we've been successful.
When did you know that they needed to be there?
When I realized that they cared about the need, I said, yeah, this is something that can work for us. Because people don't realize the small things that made life on the outside difficult for us. Even on the inside, it was small things that made life difficult. Like on the inside, for example, just being heard about what it is that you're trying to accomplish and getting the assistance to get that done, as small as, material to put a paperwork together, mm-hmm. an essay together for a online course that you're taking. It was right. difficult to get because the policy says that you can't have type 2 pencil. But the institution that you're getting your course from requires a type 2 pencil. So you're up against a wall, something as small as that. And the same thing on the outside. It's because of Chance for Life that now we don't need all of the identification and proof of who we are just to get a driver's license. We had to jump through hoops to get a driver's license. You're asking me for proof of residency, and I haven't been in society for over 20 years. Right. A residency is somewhere in Jackson, Michigan, MDOC, and that's unacceptable. So that's what made me see it. We need an advocate, a voice that they cannot throw policy at and have them to be silent.
First time you saw Mr. Adams, what'd you think? Tell the truth.
The truth?
Yes.
I have to think about when the first time mm-hmm. I saw him. Mm-hmm. Okay, the truth.
The truth.
He kind of sharp, but let's see what he's talking about.
Right.
That's what it was. So, the swag was there and everything, so, but what is he talking about? What is he talking about? Are we going to get the same old program, certificate, and then the certificate is not worth the paper that it's on. That let me see if it goes any deeper than that.
What about Jessica?
Well, when I saw Jessica, I was like, I think the first time that I saw Jessica, she was already teaching. I think I came in late or something because another small thing, you can't get out until they let you out. So I was late, I think it was, and she was in teaching mode, going at it. And I was like, she ain't scared of none of these guys. So I sat back and observed, But the interesting thing was, I wasn't even supposed to be there. They gave a guy, because I think when they first come to the facility, the staff was recommending the inmates who should be in the program.
Is that how it went?
Yeah, that's how it went.
Okay.
And they recommended a guy that was going home in 2 weeks. And the program was a lot longer than that. And he threw my name in the hat. And that's how I ended up there. So I came in like a couple of weeks behind what was really going on. So yeah, I was really checking them out, see if I was wasting my time for obvious reasons.
So, Mr. Adams, your first thoughts about Anthony, and do you remember the first time you saw him?
Yeah, I remember, but it was a blank page.
What does that mean?
It means that when I go into an institution, I don't see anybody as anything. I just see them as a blank page that we can write on. And I don't form any opinions until I've had an opportunity to observe a person. Now, we don't ask a person what they've done while they're in here. What we do is we watch their mannerisms, how they present themselves, how they talk about things that have occurred in their life, particularly responding to Jessica's teachings. And Jessica does a lot of teaching, and I sit back and I do the observation. Are they committed? Are they coming forth right? What are their facial expressions, body language, things of that nature? And then as we go, I start to formulate, a thought as to whether or not they're getting it and they're really committed and moving forward, or whether or not they're just there to get the paperwork and pass the time.
Tell me the first experience, if you remember that, and then kind of what happened after.
When I go into a class and I kind of scan the room and I know just about who's in the room, I never know backgrounds. That's one of the things I don't want to know.
I like that.
And so I look at them and say, okay, he can be a leader. I can just tell the way they ask a question. So I start pulling things out of them. I start putting them on, on Front Street. I start, having them to come forward with and that way too, it helps me to form the curriculum. I don't go in with, okay, critical thinking, mediation, that's, standard, but how do you present that to people? And everybody's different. So you go in and I use them pulling things out of them. It tells me how I need to present that curriculum and how I need to formulate things. And that gives me an idea of who's the leader in this room.
What about this guy?
Well, Anthony I watched him a little while and I pulled out, Anthony was kind of curious. He messed around a little bit. He wasn't out there, like almost as if he's watching you and seeing what you're going to do. And are you really for real? These are the things I'm picking up from it. But I knew he was somebody that I was going to use as a trainer. He had that ability, but I knew he was going to take some cultivating to get him to where he needed to be in order to trust the process.
Trying to get me out of my box.
Yeah.
I was in the box. I remember that part. And it was not so much the program, it's just that the way the program was put together, there was a diverse group. You had guys that were known to be gang members on the yard, every form of religion that was practiced in the penitentiary, and some that weren't supposed to be, were in the room. And me being a Christian, known to be a Christian, known to be heavily involved in that. It was a lot of people in the room that didn't like me. I didn't care about it, but it made it difficult for me to come out that box because I wasn't so sold on the idea that everything that we do in this room stays in this room. We have an oath, we have a bond. I wasn't sold immediately on that. Not because of the program, because of the people that were in the room. Mm-hmm. But I saw some things that on the yard that proved me wrong.
Like what?
There was a guy that I knew didn't care about a certain group of people, and he also didn't care about this particular individual. But the individual was a part of Chance for Life, and he stood up for him. He stood up for him. And there was another instance where a guy was just at the borderline of crossing that line of confidentiality in our group, and he checked him about it, in the right way. He wasn't mean. He wasn't. He didn't put him on Front Street or anything. He just pulled him to the side before he did what he was about to do. And I can't quite remember what it was that he was about to do, but I was more so impressed because it was this particular guy defending something that was supposed to be who we are, confident and a bond between us, and that kind of like helped me out.
So what at the beginning?
Yeah,
this was before you were knee deep in it. Before
True.
True. If somebody asked me, and people have, like, what is it about Chance for Life that's so different? Seeing is believing. It's been year after year. It was 2008 when we met, and it's 2023, and nothing's changed. It's all still good. And the mission's still there. The commitment's still there. The core members are still awesome people. When you hear him say that he saw it because he saw it in other people, that's the goal.
That's the goal. And people don't realize that. They think that these people just come to class and that's all it's about. But like he was saying, no, they had to live that. Because you're dealing with people that don't trust each other. Nobody trusts each other in prison. You're dealing with these different religions who are gangs within themselves, fighting or whatever, hating each other.
True.
But now they're working together. You got leaders who now have to stand back and choose other people to lead because they had a board of directors and they voted and they did. So all of those things that they do inside that facility is part of their training that people don't understand. They think it's just a curriculum, but it's not.
No, it's not. It's not, like you said, being a board, having our own board. And I saw that it was for the purpose of us learning Robert's Rule of Order and how to conduct a board meeting. To this day, I get paid to teach people how to do that. But I learned it through Chance for Life. And it's been beneficial to me because I bought into the one thing that was said. Jessica used to say this to everybody. This is all about you. It's not about the class. It's about what you do after the class. It's about you. We took it to the yard. We did it in the yard. We met in the yard for the sake of making sure everybody was on the same page or keeping up with the process or the program, because we did have homework sometimes too. So.
As Tom would always tell them, you have to police yourself. You shouldn't have to have these officers to come and stand over you grown men.
Yeah.
And you got men standing over you with clubs and things telling you should be able to police yourselves. And that was one of the challenges they had. And they really had a challenge because you're doing this in prison where all of this, the inmates, not only the officers would come after, but the inmates would challenge them as calling them you snitches and that kind of. So they had a tough hill to climb. So it's not just a curriculum. I mean, they had training firsthand.
The officers, it was hard for the officers to buy into this too.
Oh yeah.
But I knew they did. And one particular time, being in the old school cells, my door cracked, what we call it, when it pops open. It popped open from the electronic thing, and I pushed the door open, and the officer says, "We want you to go down and talk to this guy," because he has some young guys that are like 17, 18, 19 years old. And he was acting out a lot. So they said, "Go talk to the guy." Because if I keep writing tickets, he not going home. He not going home. So I go talk to the guy, and long story short, the point is the officers were beginning to buy into Chance for Life and the core members of Chance for Life being able to make a difference inside the prison.
Yeah.
And that's just one half of it. But it happens out here too, because I meet people and they find out I've done time. Oh, my cousin, my brother-in-law is in there, and he just I said, well, what facility is he in? Has he heard of Chance for Life? He needs to go to Chance for Life because they're going to take him back to the basics. They're going to teach him how to be responsible, how to think for himself, how to think outside the box to resolve a conflict without getting in trouble. That's what he needs. Get him to sign up. Get him to sign up. And if he don't, next time he call, tell him this, tell him that, So it's working out here too.
When you talk about that, and you guys always talk about that, it is about you. Mm-hmm. And it's about basic things that aren't basic if you don't know how to execute them, right?
Exactly.
Is that it?
That's it.
Because what you're saying makes so much sense. And it doesn't matter if you were someone that is incarcerated or someone that is returning citizen or someone that has never been to prison. Everything you say, everything that you teach makes sense to every individual on earth.
Yeah.
So the basics is something we all have to go back to, right?
Yeah.
The key is be who you say you are. It's one thing to read or to have Jessica teach and to hear things, but if you really want to affect change in yourself as an individual, you have to make that who you really are. Mm-hmm. And that's what separates us from other things that occur within the system. When an individual becomes what they're taught and they can act upon that, and all we really do, and Jessica's very skilled at it, is she takes basic street knowledge as to how you survive out here in the streets and those principles, put it with the truth, and she adapts that into how you need to be. Yes, these are things you need to be to build your character and who you are and how people see you and whether they can trust you, but you also have to have that street wisdom. You don't trust everybody, until they've shown themselves trustworthy. You look down the street and you look at all sides of the street before you walk down that street. You know who your friends are and you know who they're not. And when you're in a different territory, you handle yourself a different way and you pay respect where respect is due, if you want to be able to move in certain directions. Well, those are the things that's culminated and taught. And those are really the things we live with out here in corporate America and in society. But our guys just have to know how to apply that, to flip it, because they're already doing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you have to show them how to flip it so that they can be successful on this side of the street. So when he talks about guards respecting them and calling them to solve issues, it's because the guards watch them. And they watch them to see if they're who they say they are. Because we leave at a certain point.
Yeah.
But he's still there. So when he's when he's in his dorm, how does he act when nobody's looking at it? Is he a natural peace solver? Is he creating chaos? They watch him. And the other members in the prison, inmates, watch you. Are you a man of your word? Can I come to you and tell you something and you're going to keep that? Mm-hmm. Do you really respect who I am as an individual? Yeah, you're Christian. I'm Muslim. But do you respect me being an individual, maintaining my religion, and you can still interact with me on that level? That's what they watch.
Hey, Tom, we usually set a precedent when we first go in to teach, and I always say to them, tell them that people don't realize how Bible-based Chance for Life is.
Right.
But because I've taken the Bible and I've adapted it to something that is not necessarily biblical, but it's true.
Right.
And I tell them when we go in, we judge the truth. There's two books I read, and that's the Bible and the Quran. And that's where we will now say our truth comes from. We do a lot of truth seeking in everything we do. And I always remind them that Jesus and all these prophets were mediators. And that's what we taught, mediation. So yeah, it's really Bible-based, but we just don't present it the way most, programs.
Being transformed by the renewing of your
There we go. Romans, there you go.
whole thing.
That's it.
Right there. When you do that, you good.
And go.
Renewing of your mind. Tom said, don't fight the system. Learn the system and use it.
Work.
And I've been moving forward ever since.
Exactly.
You work your hand. Yeah.
It works everywhere you go.
Exactly.
It's just that simple,
Yeah.
And that's the thing about what you learn in Chance for Life. You can use it everywhere you go, everything you do, from like you say, the corporate world to the kitchen table with your family. It's all good. It's all beneficial to everybody because it's the natural thing that we do. We treat each other right. Just learn to treat each other right, and then you're good. And if you care about yourself, you care about somebody else. And that's what I had to learn, how to care. And once I learned to care and put everybody else in front of me, everybody in front of me was reaching back.